You're listening to Investify, preaching financial independence and assisting investors to achieve a more flexible and free lifestyle through smart financial planning and real estate investing. If leaving the corporate world and jumping into this thriving industry is what you desire, tune in and listen to stories of like-minded individuals who made the leap to financial independence. Equip yourself with the right tips and tricks to start your real estate journey, making active or passive ventures that are highly profitable and rewarding.
This episode of Investify was brought to you by the FI team, a team of investor-friendly agents that service all 50 states. If you are looking to house hack, to invest, grow your portfolio, and want a true investor-friendly agent on your side, go to thefiteam.com and click Get Started, and we can't wait to have a good conversation with you. What's going on, everybody? You are listening to Investify. My name is Craig Curlop, aka the FI Guy, and we've got a special episode with you today because I am with my guest and new co-host, Miss Ali, the Agent Garced. What's up, girl? How you doing?
I'm great. How are you, Craig?
I am so pumped to have you on. We've been friends for a while. I love you. I love your energy and just love your passion for real estate. And so, Ali, remind us what episode you were on for our Investify. I think you were on a couple of months ago, probably, right?
Yeah, I want to say almost a year ago now, or
Oh my gosh.
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was episode 109. So that's where you can get like a quick recap on me.
Yeah, and I'll say, we're going to dive into Ali a little bit in this episode. If you want to hear her beginning stories and all that, go check out episode 109. But Ali, how are you doing today?
I'm excellent. I woke up healthy, so, my family's healthy. Life is good. I always, wake up and I'm like, hey, if I'm still living, if I can get out of bed, it's a good frickin' day. Sorry, I curse a lot.
A good frickin' day. All right. So is this what you do every morning? You kind of wake up and you give a couple smells, you check to see if your family's healthy, and if that's good, you're like, all right, we're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't text them every single morning, although I should.
You should, yeah.
But yeah, it's more of just mental affirmation than just positivity, just grateful,
I think that's I think that and just keeping yourself mentally grounded, physically grounded by mentally exercising every day. I think that's super, super crucial in just kind of staying happy and staying calm. But Ali, I want to hear a little bit about your story. I know we chatted 6 months ago, but why don't you give, in case people haven't listened to that episode or they don't really feel like going back, give us a brief recap of your first couple of years in real estate, and then we'll talk about what you're getting up to today.
Absolutely. Yes. So Ali Garced, I go by Ali the Agent because not a lot of people know how to pronounce Garced. I get it all. I get Garcia, I get the whole thing. So my background is I did 10 years active duty Air Force. I was a special agent for the Air Force. So every day I was, interviewing victims, subjects, witnesses. My every day was someone else's worst day. And after doing 10 years in the military, or actually while I was doing my 10 years in the military, I realized that I did not want to do the full 20 for retirement. So I needed to find my own ways in order to supplement my active duty W-2 income and also increase my passive income. So that's when I stumbled upon all the FI things. And yeah, I can talk a little bit about my portfolio if you'd like to.
Yeah, no, we don't want to hear about that. What I want to hear is about what victim? Yeah, screw that. What victims are you interviewing, and what does your day look like? Just to kind of give people, I don't know. I think people think of their days as sad when they have to wake up early and go to work and sit behind a computer all day. But I feel like yours might have been a little bit more mentally taxing.
Yeah, it was. So victims, subjects, the crimes that we would investigate, we have overall 3 umbrellas. One is general crime. It's what people typically think of. So special agents for the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, that's equivalent to NCIS for the Navy. So that kind of thing, except more realistic. We don't get labs back in one freaking day. It takes months, several months. But crimes would be sexual assaults and all felony level crimes. So whether it's child pornography, drugs, prostitution, fraud, a lot of procurement fraud, companies defrauding the military, the DoD, and counterintelligence. So I did my time with all three umbrellas, and that's pretty much it. I can go into details if you want about that too.
No, yeah. I mean, okay. I didn't realize the Air Force like did all that stuff and I suspect that's just domestic crime, right? You're not talking about like international crime.
It would have to have an Air Force nexus. So typically, like if the subject was in the Air Force, then that's when we would investigate.
I see. Crazy. Okay. So yeah, this is like really, really heavy stuff that you're dealing with pretty much on a daily basis. Like what it seems to be most people's rock bottom, right? Like if you're getting investigated by the Air Force because of any of those things, whether it's prostitution, child pornography, any of those drugs, whatever, like it's that person's low in their life, I'm sure. And so we hope that there's a rebound. And so I guess how did you deal with that? Like mentally, it was just one of those things where it's like, yeah, whatever, another day. It's like, a funeralist dealing with dead people or whatever. Like you're kind of numb to it.
Yeah, you definitely end up getting like a distorted, sense of humor, where you become jaded. Of course, that doesn't mean that we didn't, do our investigations to the fullest. There was just a lot. There's a lot. People think military, they think higher level, a higher standard. Yes, for the most part, but there are some bad apples in every bunch. So that's who we would investigate. And therefore didn't have a lot of friends in the military. It's like the running joke. It's like, I don't know, like OSI is like always in the parties, trying to like rat somebody out.
Yeah, you're like the police, but maybe that stuff. I'm your friend, Ali. I'm on the side.
I paid you to be
that stuff. Well, that's true. That's true too. Yeah. By the way, you are a little bit late in your payment. We're gonna have to charge you a 5% late fee.
All right, fine. That's what it takes for a friend.
Yeah. Awesome, Ali. So you're doing this. Military stuff. It's a job. It's heavy. It's tough. Every day is probably a little bit of a drag. And obviously, you did 10 years of it, you said, and you only had 10 more till you get pension, right? Like, isn't 20 years is the thing? And so
Exactly.
you got 50% of the way there. Like, you couldn't muster through another 10 years, or was that just not good enough for you?
No, I could not. And it was a mental battle. So I'll back up a little bit more too. I only joined the military to pay for college because college was extremely expensive. My parents are immigrants. My mom is from Peru. My dad is from Puerto Rico. They were cash flowing my way through college. And I went to Elon University, small private school in North Carolina. At the time, it was like $40K a year. And I just felt like, I know the privilege of like what it is to say that my parents were paying for my college, but also I know what they were doing backbreaking work. My mom, it was backbreaking work. So, as a thank you to them, I joined the military because they were pretty much giving away scholarships at the time, as long as you had a decent GPA and could run. So I joined the military, and I figured at the time that I would do my minimum 4 years to pay back the ROTC scholarship. And then fast forward, I didn't really know what I wanted to leave the military to do after that. So I was kind of hanging on. And then there were a bunch of, sometimes bigger events throughout my 10 years in which I realized that I needed to leave, not even so much because of the content of the work, but the leadership, frankly. So, which I'm sure resonates with a bunch of listeners here. Where with the military, I've shared my story, and I'm happy to share it again. For example, there was this one time where I volunteered for a deployment to Afghanistan. They asked me to take on this next assignment, here in Tucson. And at the time I decided, no, I think that's it. I've done my 4 years plus an extra one, and I volunteered for deployment. I think I'm going to separate now. I looked at the people that were further ahead of me in the military, lieutenant colonels, and I didn't want to be in their shoes. They weren't living the life that I wanted to live. They were very chained to their desk. They had to live sometimes apart from their spouse, just in order to like progress in their career. And I value family way more than the military. So I at that time I was like, you know what, I'm going to separate. So I said no to the assignment. I said I was going to separate, and because of a technicality in which I had said yes via email, which was not signing a contract. They said, nope, you're still on the hook for this next 4 years. So at that moment, they pretty much said, for this assignment here, I was working counterintelligence in Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, Tucson, Arizona. So counterintelligence in South and Central America. And to do that, I need to speak and understand, read and write Spanish. And I understand it listening, but reading, speaking, that's another ball game. Yeah. And yes, my parents like both speak Spanish, but I never really like picked up on that. So I pretty much said like, no, thank you. I can't speak Spanish. And they said, what can we do to get you to that assignment? We need you at that assignment. And I was like, well, I would need to speak Spanish if that's what you require of me. So they said, okay, we'll send you to Defensive Language Institution out in Monterey, California for Spanish, the full 9-month program. And I was like, you know what? I'll do California. Sure. Hell yeah. So I said yes to the 9-month program, which all in all, with moving on either side, it would be about a year in Monterey. At month 2 is when they said, okay, Ali, you're done with your training. Now you got to move to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. And I was like, whoa, we barely got through the alphabet. What do you mean? And so I called my soon-to-be commander, and I was like, hey, what's this next assignment that apparently I have to go to? And they were like, what are you talking about? We don't even have assignments. We don't even want you here yet if you can't speak Spanish. And I was like, that checks. I was kind of thinking the same thing. Yeah. So at that point, that's when I realized that it was just too political. And I get it. I signed on the dotted line for the military. But at that moment, 2018 is when I realized like, no shit, I'm leaving. So I need to ramp up my passive income. I need to step up my portfolio. And that is when I like really started sprinting in my version of sprinting in my passive income.
Yeah. So what was that deal with that miscommunication of someone saying that you had to leave in 2 months, but then your other guy was like, nah, stay until 9.
Yeah. So the 9-month training, it's 9 months, right? Like the Air Force pays for every seat in the chair, for every kid that they're teaching. So for the Air Force to use taxpayer dollars to move me from, at the time was Colorado, Afghanistan back to Colorado, to then move to California for 2 months. And then for me to move again, like it's not expensive. I don't pay for anything. Military members don't pay while they move. It's taxpayer dollars. So I had reached out to the person who told me, hey, by the way, it's time for you to move. You're going to Davis-Monthan now, like 7 months early. I reached out to them and said, hey, what's up? Like I spoke to my gaining commander, my gaining unit, and they said that there is no mission, like the mission that you told me there was, for me to move in now. And they gave me backlash. They gave me a lot of shit. They're like, they said, you reached out to your gaining unit? I said, yes, as I should, because that's going to be my future commander, my future, coworkers. And I got a lot of backlash for that. And again, my views do not represent the views of the military. So I don't want to like paint too much of like a negative picture, but it was like instances like that where I had no control over my life. So that's where I wanted to regain control. So since then I separate, I did the move. I had to, which was fine. So that's why now I'm in Tucson, Arizona. I've been here for 5 years and I love the weather. So since then I separated. It's, right now it's like March 2023. I separated in October of 2022, and it has been the best 4 or 5 months of my life. Like I love working for myself. Oh my goodness. So like you said before, like, you were halfway there. You couldn't do another 10 mentally. No, I could not. And I know that like a bunch of other people like feel the same way, but it's crazy to think, you're halfway there, but it's almost like the sunk cost fallacy. You're like, oh, I've already done 10. What's another 10? another 10 during my prime? No, thank you. No,
Yeah, for
thanks.
sure. These are going to be like probably some of the 10 best years of your life too. And I agree with you too. Like, I mean, let me share a quick story of how I couldn't wait to get into like out of my W-2. And
Please.
so I was working at a great company, right? Everyone loves this company, bigger pockets, right? And I was, making decent money. I had good employees, good coworkers and all that stuff. And it was fun. But I was making like a lot of money just in my side hustle being a real estate agent. Like it was probably closing like 2 deals a month or so. And in Denver, that was about $20,000 a month. And so I was like,
Nice.
I'm making like triple, right? What I'm making at Bigger Pockets than my
Yeah.
side hustle. And so because I was like getting so busy here, my work started suffering. And then I started getting backlash from like all of my bosses, right? I even went on a performance improvement plan. And so it was like January of 2020 when all this was going on. And I just need to make it until June because I need to get my next house hack. Like I just like I because W-2 stuff. And
Yeah.
then I just kept looking around. I was like, I can't make it till June. Like I might get fired before June, and that would be really bad. And so I had to quit right in January of 2020. And fortunately, I did make enough money to like just barely eke out a property in June. So I kind of got to have my cake and eat it too. But
Yeah.
I was making fun of you for not being able to wait 10 years, and here I am. Like I couldn't even wait like 4 months. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it's you definitely have those like mental handcuffs. Thanks for sharing that also. I had no idea. That's funny.
Yeah, I have all these little stories that people don't know about, but I try to share
Yeah, yeah.
them.
It's different when I don't know, when you're like running on the treadmill and that carrot dangling in front of you of the pension, military pension, you get that the month after you separate. But that was just too far away mentally for me. And again, looking at
Mhm.
where I would have been, they weren't happy. And that's just not how I wanted to live my life.
No, and I think that's extremely, and I love the exercise. I think if you are working a W-2 job right now and you're not sure if you want to leave or if you're afraid to leave, like that exercise that you did of like, hey, where do I want to be in 10 years? And you look up to your superiors, and for you it's the colonels and the lieutenant colonels, and for me it was like whatever, like the associates and vice presidents of the company I was working at, and I was just like, Bigger Pockets is great, right? But I'm talking about the company prior to that. I was looking, I was like, there's just no way that I would want to live
Yeah.
live 30 feet down the hallway in an office, not spending time with my family and trash talking my kids and whatever, that was just something that did not feel good to
Wow.
me. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. So I mean, I don't regret it because it's where I am today, plus if you
Mhm.
ever maybe that's just defending my own ego too, because if I were to live in regret, what kind of life is that? That's, daily regret. That's terrible. So
Mhm.
um I separated as a major, and my last assignment I did a lateral move, but I was like, hey, I want to control. And if you are military and you're listening to this, uh, I mean, I don't want to give you advice because I don't know your specific situation. But what I did, I took a lateral move, and it knowing that I wasn't going to retire, so doing as much as I could to control my own future, my own as next assignment. I don't know. And then meanwhile, just ramp up the side hustle, baby.
We hope this episode is inspiring you to take action. If you're thinking about becoming a real estate agent or an agent who wants to join an investor friendly team, just hit me up on Instagram at the Fi Guy because we are growing our team in Denver, Seattle, San Diego, and Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, but also adding to our network in all 50 states. And if you didn't already know this, the Fi team provides a super supportive environment with one-on-one coaching, accountability, and ongoing training to help develop kick-ass, rock star, investor-friendly real estate agents. So hit me up on Instagram at the Fi Guy, shoot me a DM, and we'll set up a time to chat. Can't wait to chat with you. For sure, yeah. And so how did you so why real estate? Like what made you think real estate over all these things? It doesn't sound like your parents had properties, did they? How'd you learn about this?
Yeah, actually, my dad is a landlord. He does own some real estate. They're out
Mm,
in New York. So, but I never, I don't know, so real estate overall, I guess the smallest little mental nugget was placed in the back of my head when I was a kid because my dad had my sister and I read Rich Kid, Poor Kid. And no one ever really like talks about that too much. I tried looking up the book recently. Anyway, but so it was like obviously like Rich Dad Poor Dad, but like for kid version. So we read that and then thought nothing of it, 20 years for 20 years. And then when I was in the military, we have access to the VA loan. So I purchased my first property was, owner occupied, personal residence, a condo in Colorado Springs when I was stationed at Peterson. And from when I purchased it, I got short notice deployment orders to Afghanistan. So at that point, I, moved, I rented it out, and I was getting some income. It's break even, it pretty much. But after that, fast forward maybe 4 years after that is when I purchased my second one. At that point, in the 4 years, that condo in Colorado Springs had doubled in value. So I had like 150,000 in equity, which was amazing. So that's when I was like, okay, when I'm thinking about all these different side hustles, what can I do to make money? What can I do? I know that I want to leave the military, but what do I run toward? That's when I stumbled upon, actually the first podcast I listened to was The Mad Fientist. And then I stumbled into all of the others. So at that point, I looked more into the VA and I saw that I had eligibility left. So I purchased my second property here in Tucson, another personal residence. And since then, I had saved money into the TSP, of course, which is the military version of the 401k, and just general index funds because I didn't know what else to do with my money. So at that point, I took some money out and I bought, fast forward till now, I have five doors, 4 properties, because one is a duplex, and my wife owns 2, and we're under contract now for another personal
Nice.
residence to move into. Yeah.
Look at that. That's amazing, right? And so you said you started this whole journey, you said in 2017, or was that 2016?
Yeah. 2016 is when I purchased the first one.
The first one.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think it's amazing, right? Like, you buy your first place and you feel like you're only going to buy one place every 7 years, like everybody else in the United
Yeah.
States. But like crazy that in 7 years, it sounds like between you and your wife, you bought 7 places, right? And so it's pretty common in our space to buy a home every year. And like, that's all you have to do. You're going to hear stories about people going from 0 to 400 units in 2 years and like, great, like go kick butt and do that. But like if you want to live more of the mad fientist, Mr. Money Mustache, like that financial independence, leisurely lifestyle, and you don't care about becoming this like rich mongrel person, then just do a house a year for 10 years, right? Do that instead of staying in your military. And I guarantee you're going to just set yourself up for a lifetime of financial success.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially, people think moving is such a hassle, and it is, but pay for movers. It is so worth it. Don't move yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I guess like let's talk a little bit about some of maybe like some of your biggest lessons that you've learned in transitioning from a W-2 military type role into real estate. What are some things you maybe were blindsided by? Any troubles there?
Yeah. So I am a very risk averse person where I try to get as much information as I can before making a decision and then acting on that decision. I know that about myself. That's like me as a person. So otherwise I would have left the military at year 5, but in the military as an officer, in case you didn't know, if you decide to turn down an assignment, you have 7 days to find a new job. Um, you have to sign like a form that's like a 7-day like opt out or whatever. So you have to make that turnaround quick. So I was like, all right, I don't know in 7 days, I don't know if I can figure it out, but if I can do, another 3-year assignment. So that's where I started to accumulate as many as I could and of course I could have gone commercial too, but I wanted to stay with what I knew at the time. Stumbling blocks as far as like, pain points and separating. I would say when you are thinking about separating, I know that one of the pain points I had was which direction do I go? Shiny object syndrome. Oh my gosh, I could do this, I could do that, I could start a pool company, like a swim lesson company, I thought of everything that I could. But it's really just focusing on one, like pick one and start. As soon as you pick one and you start, along the way, you'll realize, is this me? Does this align with me or not? At that point, you can switch. Otherwise, you're thinking about every single opportunity. Meanwhile, you could have gone through a bunch of them on your list and realized that it's not the right fit. So just like pick one and start. Also, ask for help. I know that I have a problem asking for help, and actually, we share that in common. So I have gotten better from, with that. I intentionally ask for more help, knowing that anybody that I'm going to ask for help, aka a mentor, when you reach out to them, and if they're going to give you the time of their day, do what they say. Like literally, that's it. There is no bigger like slap in the face than someone giving you their time and helping you when you're like still a small fish trying to figure something out, and then you don't do it. That's like the ultimate, I think, slap in the face. So if you're looking for a mentor, and this is kind of like what I was doing too, is like, instead of just saying like, hey, this might be just my pet peeve. I might be alone in this, but I like people saying, hey, can I take you out for a cup of coffee? That is such a time commitment. That means like driving 30, 45 minutes, being there for maybe hour, who knows, come back. So the way for you to stand out and find a mentor to be able to like help you through those stumbling blocks when you're trying to figure shit out, provide value to them. Like, hey, like I saw your Instagram post. I saw that you were looking for a social media manager. I have a couple of friends of mine. Here are their Instagrams. Here's something. Do you mind if I can jump on the phone with you for 5 minutes and just pick your brain? And at that point, you take notes. You say, okay, awesome. Thank you so much. And then you follow up. You say, hey, by the way, I don't know if you remember, but we spoke on October of last year. This is what you told me to do. This is when I did it. And this is how it turned out. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh man, that will like, go ahead.
What? One edit I'm going to make for you. Everything you said was perfect. One edit. I hate when people say pick my brain. That is like a trigger for me that I'm just like, don't pick my brain. Like, because it sounds like you just have no idea really what you want to ask. And like, I don't have time for that. It just sounds like there's no direction. But if you just ask a question, right? Oftentimes, like if you have a question, right? And it's like, sometimes it can be answered in like a sentence. And so like, if you're going to, I answer messages all the time on Instagram, and if it's a quick question, I answer all of them, especially if it's like a quick sentence. And if it's longer, I'll leave a voice message. Like I'll do like a minute long voice message, and that's way easier than like hopping on the phone. Now you want to hop on the phone, unfortunately, that's going to cost you, because that's 30 minutes of my time, and I mean, you have to have a filter, and so I've done that too. But like, and also don't be afraid to like pay for your mentor's time. That's another thing, right? So at least at first, because there's so many people, until you can prove yourself.
That's a really good point. No, I'm glad you mentioned that, because when you send out a text of, hey, can I pick your brain? They have no idea what topic. Do they need to do research? Like me as a person, I want to do some research to be able to even provide value back. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem. That's why we're a good team, Ali,
Yes.
Gotta lift each other up. Yeah. Clap. All right. So just to kind of a quick recap a little bit here. So, you're a military person, bought your first property in 2016. You didn't like the red tape. You didn't like is it bureaucracy is the right word? Just kind of like all of the craziness of the military. And you just saw greater pastures in real estate. And so why a real estate agent? Like, why not become a wholesaler? Why not multifamily? Or why not? There's so many different avenues.
Yeah. So I will say no one in my family is a real estate agent. So I never thought of it as a business. I never thought of it as a business. I thought it was straight up what clients think. Opening doors and saying, yay, our offer is accepted. Like talking about beautiful kitchens. And that's like not even, like me as a person. Architecture is okay, but for me, do the numbers work? So my wife was the one who told me, you should become an agent. At the time, the agents that like I knew, this is, years ago, I was like, I don't know. They all care about what they wear, and that's not me, and it just seemed like a different vibe. But of course it was just, a small fraction of just the interactions that I had at the time with agents. I never thought of it as a business. So I said no for a good 2 years. And then I started doing more research on it because she was like, well, be an agent, be an agent. You like real estate, blah, blah, blah. So I looked into it, and that's when I realized it is a whole ass business. There's KPI, there's prospecting. You have to be a marketer, really. That's like what you are as an agent. And it's like calling for appointments, getting on appointments, going on appointments. And I loved it. It like opened up a whole new world. It's like, whoa, this isn't just talking about freaking kitchens. I like it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So at that point, that's when I was like, all right, I think I'm going to be an agent. I'm going to get my license. And that's when I did. I got my license in 2021. And so that way I had a whole year of me being an agent while I was still active duty, just to make sure, again, risk averse, that I liked it and that I could match my income. And I matched my income of being a major in the military by month 8 of me being an agent for real estate. And at that point I knew, like, this is it. I'm no longer capped. You know, I have the W-2 salary cap. Instead, my efforts, you know, my income is driven by my efforts, and I know I'm a fucking hard worker. So let's do this.
Yeah, I love that. You know, I think it's funny. Real estate agent is obviously a sales role, right? And I remember in my first job where I was like a financial analyst at some bank, I was going to go down like the corporate douchebag route. And I remember people saying like, "Oh, sales roles, like, oh, like, you don't want to do that. Like, that's kind of like the scum of the scum work." And then I kept, and those are people that were in the traditional W-2 finance roles. But then I started looking into reading books, and almost every one of those books is like, get a sales job, get a sales job, get a sales job, get a sales job, because there's no cap on you can make in sales jobs. And so that's when you see is like real estate agents, the good ones make more than doctors, they make more than lawyers. Can probably be the highest paid profession, because with literally a doctor, you need what, like 10, 12 years of schooling. Being a real estate agent, you need like 40 hours. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of nuts when you think about like the relative, like the risk and the reward. It's just that, you know, when you're a doctor, after 10 years, you're almost guaranteed to make a good amount of money.
Yeah.
But if you can take like 3 of those years and become a kick-ass real estate agent and use that as your schooling, you can make infinitely more than a doctor, and people's lives aren't in your hands. So
Yes. No, absolutely. I completely agree.
yeah. All right, Ali. So, you know, so I guess, did you keep your job at all in the military? Was any of this, how did this play into your investments? Like, did you kind of time it that way? So, okay, I know I can keep house hacking, and you try to get like your last house hack just before you separate, so you're good, or were you just kind of like, oh, whatever? A lot of people, they strategically quit their W-2 jobs, right? They line it up so they can get an investment property right at the very end, so they have the W-2 to then qualify them for the loan, and then maybe a month or two after they close, they end up quitting their W-2 job and going out on their own, just to be more efficient with the house hacking or the real estate investing process. Did you do that at all with the military, or were you just, because it's a little bit more structured, you know exactly when your end date's going to be, were you just kind of like, nope, I'm done?
Yeah. So during my time, I capped out with both of my VA loans, and so did my wife. So we already tapped out, you know, reached maximum of capacity for our VA loans, and we had purchased 2 others with a conventional loan. So I had tried to purchase one more, squeeze like another property out before I separated from the military. But at that time, my real estate agent business was doing so well. That's like where I was just focused on. That at the time, that was and still is a bigger return on my time than another property was. So yeah,
Right.
and things turned out okay. You know, we're purchasing another one here next month.
Yeah. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah. So I don't live in the best neighborhood currently. So we are moving. This happened last week. My wife, my wife's car, my car, and like 3 other neighbors' cars were all vandalized, like all in a row. And at that point, I was like, all right, that's it. Like, this is the last straw. We're moving out of this neighborhood. So the next day I got pre-approved. The day after that, I made an offer and got it accepted. This is actually going to be my first new build. I've never represented a client on a new build, so I'll be the guinea pig for my future clients on new builds. And it's actually technically in the city of Marana, which is just north of Tucson, but community home or community development, community home. And I'm looking forward to it. Well, the inspections are today. I'll let you know how that one goes.
Nice. Yeah. Well, we're excited to kind of see you through the new build process. I get a lot of questions on new builds. And I think overall, like, new builds are usually pretty good because like everything in the house is new. But I think like you just want to make sure that, the builders didn't cut any corners or anything like that. Because I think it's pretty easy probably to do that when you're building them so methodically, and it's almost like it's like when you start doing things too many times, they become habit, and then you become complacent. And so I guess just make sure they don't miss any details would be my one recommendation.
Definitely.
All right, Ali. Well, is there anything else you want to tell everybody as the new co-host of Investify?
Dude, I am so excited to be the co-host. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm stoked. I am stoked. I'm ready for the shit talking, although we didn't really have much today, so.
I know, we got to talk more shit. So I don't know how, I guess it's just got to come, it's got to come. It'll come.
Yeah.
About you and your colorful shirts. You never have like everyone's going neutral these days, and Allie's got like pink in the background and like rainbow shirts and yellow shirts and blue lights everywhere. Like, just a very colorful human. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever worn a rainbow shirt, but thanks for the lesbian stereotype, Craig.
Yeah. Your hair does not look like a lesbian, though. I will say that. You gotta shorten it. Yeah. Do you drive a Subaru by any chance?
Fuck yeah, I do.
You do, really?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Oh man. That was
do you wear like a t-shirt underneath your shirts, and then you like kind of tuck them up over the edges or roll up the
You
sleeves?
You got a cup. Although straight girls are doing this too now, so I don't know. They want to be lesbians.
Straight girls just want to be curved, I guess. So
curved. Overall, thank you so much. I'm super excited to see where this goes. I am pumped. If anyone listening has any suggestions, anything really, I'm here for it. If you haven't already reviewed the podcast, please do, or just give it a thumbs up on whatever the fuck you listen to. I do Spotify, but, also, eventually, I would say, let's start doing some YouTube shit. Follow us on YouTube eventually. Not now, not yet. But, and if you don't already follow us on Instagram too, I'm Ali the Agent, Ali spelled A-L-I. But I'm super seriously, I answer almost every Instagram message that I get, as long as it's not obviously spam like a bot or asking too much of my time. Hey, let's spend 14 hours together so I can pick your brain.
Yes, no brain picking, please.
No brain picking.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm open to anything. I'm super excited to talk to you guys, and fuck yeah. I mean, what else can I say? I'm stoked.
Yeah, awesome, Ali. Well, thanks so much for coming on. That was it's been so much fun having you, and so much fun. It's gonna be so much fun in the future, continuing to have you. And if you don't already, give Ali a follow, Ali the Agent. If you don't already, give me a follow. I'm the Fi guy. And we'll see you guys all. A little shorter episode this week, just because we wanted to get to know Ali a little bit more as we transition over. And let us know how it's going. Hit us up on Instagram. Seriously, shoot me a DM. So Ali, thanks so much for coming on. We will see you all next week.
Thank you, Craig.
That's it for this episode of Investify. We hope that these nuggets of real estate wisdom lead to more savvy financial planning and a clearer path towards financial freedom. For more content like this, subscribe to the show at investify.com. Don't forget to leave a rating and share it with your friends. Together, we can transform more real estate newbies into successful and clever investors. Thank you so much for listening. See you on the next one.